Oh, what's up guys, Teacher Paul up here, and today we're reacting to a coffee request. This one comes from Susan, and Susan says, East Germany and the Berlin Wall. So this video is from a channel called DW Euromax, and the title is East Germany, the Berlin Wall, and 30 Years of German Reunification. Let's check it out. Link is in the description if you want to check it out on their channel. Let's go.
Can I interest you in a bite of Ostalgie, or
Yes,
East German
please.
nostalgia? This funky-looking snack is a Kettwurst, also known as the East German hot dog. It's a reminder that not all that long ago, Germany used to be two countries. I've never known a divided Germany. I was born the same year that the Berlin Wall fell. So before we get stuck into things, let's have a very quick recap. Here's a brief history of two Germanys in 60 seconds. Go! After World War II, Germany was divided into 4 occupied zones: the US, the UK, France and the Soviet Union. In 1949, the areas under Western occupation became the Federal Republic of Germany, aka West Germany, with its capital in Bonn. The Soviet-occupied zone was named the German Democratic Republic, aka East Germany, with its capital in the Soviet part of Berlin. And that there is West Berlin, a tiny island of the west surrounded by the east. Under a democratically elected government, West Germany began to rebuild its economy. Its financial recovery would become known as the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle. Meanwhile, in the east, the ruling Socialist Party exercised control over all aspects of citizens' lives, and economically things were not looking good. Millions of East Germans left for the west. By the early 60s, the GDR had lost a fifth of its entire population. The inner German border was heavily fortified and patrolled, so most of these people were crossing over from east to west in Berlin. How did the East German authorities put a stop to this? By building the Berlin Wall all the way around West Berlin. Phew! So that's how Germany became two states physically divided. And life on either side of the border was worlds apart.
Ein großer Unterschied ist natürlich, sind die politischen Freiheiten gewesen, die man nicht gehabt hat im Vergleich zum Westen. Pressefreiheit, Meinungsfreiheit, Versammlungsfreiheit, Reisefreiheit. Viele Menschen hatten natürlich Verwandtschaft in der Bundesrepublik, die auch zu Besuch gekommen ist. Dann gab es Briefkontakte, es gab die sogenannten Westpakete, also Pakete, die Menschen aus Westdeutschland in die DDR geschickt haben. Natürlich haben die Menschen in der DDR ihr Leben ganz stark mit dem in der Bundesrepublik verglichen. Und im Vergleich fiel das Leben dann halt weniger komfortabel aus.
By the late 1980s.
A question. So how long did this whole thing lasted for 50 years? How long after they built the wall did it all come crashing down? Because I feel like that was the last straw.
The East German government was beginning to lose its grip, and people were taking to the streets to demand democratic reform. It was decided that travel restrictions to the west would be eased as a kind of concession to protesters. But one East German official let things slip a little too early at a press conference on the 9th of November 1989. Huge crowds immediately started gathering at checkpoints across Berlin. As midnight approached, border guards could no longer hold people back. The first crossing to open was here at Bornholmer Straße.
So many people wanted to
would cross over unchecked to the west at this point alone that night. And who was among them? One Angela Merkel. 1 year later, German reunification was official. A big change for those in the West was that their capital city and national parliament moved to Berlin. But for people in the East, the sudden switch from socialist to capitalist society completely changed their everyday lives.
Es gab komplett neue Institutionen, bekanntermaßen wurde die
Isn't it crazy that this was only 30 years ago or 35 years ago? That's absolutely crazy.
Vollkommen umgestaltet. Phänomene wie Arbeitslosigkeit waren völlig neu. Ich habe mich ja in meiner Arbeit vor allen Dingen damit beschäftigt, wie sich das Konsumverhalten verändert hat. Also wie sind die Menschen eigentlich damit umgegangen, dass es plötzlich ein viel größeres Angebot gab. Was passiert, wenn meine Miete ansteigt, weil die Wohnung nicht mehr staatlich ist, sondern plötzlich in privater Hand ist. Das ist auch eine große Leistung gewesen der Ostdeutschen, diese ganzen Veränderungen und die alle Bereiche des Lebens
overnight their lives changed.
In ihrem Alltag zu integrieren.
Many East German products actually disappeared from the shelves, but there were a few Eastern export successes.
I mean, I feel like some people might still miss these old products, right? Nudosi. Does it still exist?
Disappeared from the shelves. But there were a few Eastern export successes. The iconic GDR Ampelmännchen survived an attempted takeover by his more generic Western counterpart, and it can even be found in some towns in the West today. Walking around the former East, you'll still find architectural reminders of that bygone era, like the Plattenbau prefabricated apartments and looming Soviet memorials. And you'll still hear the terms Ossi and Wessi to describe people from the East or West.
Really?
werden immer noch oft auch als Ossis betitelt.
Dass man
Ossis.
nochmal so als Pfennigfuchser so ein bisschen so bezeichnet wird. Rassismus auch immer noch ganz groß.
Also für mich ist es mehr so ein Heimatgefühl.
Yeah, so the thing is, in the East Germany, they didn't have any exports. They didn't have anything from the Western world, like from outside of Germany. So when they unified, then East Germany started getting exports from other countries. So they were allowed to have access to Nutella, for example. So the local brand was replaced by the better exports.
Meine Kinder sind ja so in der Vorwendezeit geboren und die fühlen sich irgendwo auch noch als Ossis.
Und Klischees über Wessis?
Ein bisschen kühler, ein bisschen schroff.
Steif, vielleicht spießig.
30 years after reunification, many argue that the gap between East and West is still too large.
Today?
Unemployment is higher in the East and wages much lower, although the cost of living is also lower in the East. Many young people have moved away from eastern towns, and a lot of local industries have completely died out. An East German might have held the position of Chancellor for 15 years, but there are still disproportionately
She
few
was
Easterners
she was
in
an
leading
Aussie?
political positions. Even the German national football team tells a tale. In the 2014 World Cup winning squad, Toni Kroos was the only Aussie on the pitch. With some voters in the former East venting their frustration by turning to the right,
He's a great
Germany has
player,
a
of course. Okay, here's a question, because Germany used to have two teams in the World Cup, right? East Germany and West Germany, they used to compete in the World Cup at the same time. Did they unify their winnings, or I feel like that's that's kind of like a cheat code. I don't know. Do you guys know if like in terms of the World Cup,
With some voters in the former East venting
if
their
they won
frustration by
during
turning to the
the
right, Germany has a
East
political
and
divide
West?
to deal with as well. October the 3rd is officially Tag der Deutschen Einheit, or the Day of German Unity. So, do Germans really feel that their country is now united?
In den Köpfen auf alle Fälle. Aber sag ich mal, in der Realität schaut es manchmal anders aus.
really even today?
Die Unterschiede gibt es ja doch noch recht viele. Schön, wenn sich die Menschen annähern, aber
Wait, I like this. Jein. Jein is like yes and no at the same time. Jein. Yes. Ja. Nein. No. Jein.
Auf alle Fälle. Aber sag ich mal, in der Realität schaut es manchmal anders aus.
jein. Die Unterschiede gibt es ja doch noch recht viele. Schön, wenn sich die Menschen annähern, aber insgesamt fehlt noch was.
Wir leben natürlich alle besser, aber gefühlt gibt es immer welche, die benachteiligt sind.
Ja, man fühlt sich doch manchmal ein bisschen so zweiter Klasse im Osten.
Ich meine, 30 Jahre sind ja auch gar nicht so viel Zeit, dass es noch so in den Köpfen auf jeden Fall drin ist.
Die Vereinigung wird nicht durch einen Feiertag meiner Meinung nach irgendwie gestärkt oder gefestigt, sondern die fängt bei jedem grundsätzlich tagtäglich an.
So there's still
wie man
this-
Berlin oder Deutschland im Allgemeinen sieht.
Ich finde, es ist einfach mittlerweile ein großes Land. Doch, das auf jeden
Wait a
Fall.
second. So, do West Germans still? Okay, here. Let me rephrase. Do some East Germans feel like the West looks down on them, or no? Or do some West Germans mistreat East Germans as well? Like, oh no, you guys are still developing, stuff like that, or does that still happen nowadays? Because I feel like that happens even in my country, but we didn't have any of this this separation. Although they do want, or at least a few people talk about separating the North from the South, which is interesting. I hope it doesn't happen, but it's interesting to see that people in one country are so different from each other, but still the same. Same, but different. Same. Okay. So, yeah, it's interesting because I thought this was already done with, but it feels like there still is. And it's, as I said, it's so recent. 35 years ago. It's not that long ago. It's like basically a lot of people still remember, people above the age of 45 still remember how life was back then growing up. It's interesting. I thought this had happened a while, even like longer ago, but 1990 is really recent. Okay, guys. With that said, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Do you still feel it if you're living in the west of Germany or in the east of Germany? Do you guys still feel this? Or if you're living in central, do you still feel like there's this division, even though it's not official anymore, but it still lingers? Do you feel that way? Let me know. And people who live in the east of Germany, do you feel like you're still developing or still catching up with the west side? Let me know. Even in the United States, there's this east side versus west side. What is it with, us just causing division? And, even in the rap world, there's the west side versus the east side, Biggie versus Tupac. Okay, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this reaction. Don't forget to like, subscribe. And if you guys want to watch reactions to full movie series, shows, concerts, K-dramas, and anime, go over to Buy Me Coffee or to Patreon for premium reactions. And go over to the wish list. I think Das Boots is over there. It would be probably the first German movie I watch. I'm not sure. But go check it out. And there's also the series Dark if you want to support that. See you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.